Some of what you call waiting on God may be fear asking for one more sign. And by the end of this video, I'm going to give you 3 questions that can help you distinguish wise waiting from fear that keeps you from moving forward. Welcome to the Reset Room, where strong people learn to let go. I'm KL Davenport, and today I want to talk to the person who may not need another sign. You may need the courage to act on the clarity you already have. I have known what it's like to keep praying for clarity because clarity felt safer than obedience. As long as I was still discerning, I did not have to risk being wrong. I did not have to face somebody's disappointment. I did not have to close the door. I did not have to begin again. Discernment gave me a spiritual word for remaining undecided. And there are times when waiting is wise. There are seasons when God is developing you, protecting you, or arranging what you cannot see. But there are also moments when the language of patience can hide an unwillingness to move without a guarantee. That is especially true for strong people. We are accustomed to being prepared. We want the plan before the step, the outcome before the risk, the assurance before the obedience. But faith does not always give the complete map. Sometimes faith gives you enough light for the next step. Then it asks you to trust God with the rest. Fear does not always tell you, do not go. Sometimes fear says, not yet. Not yet becomes next month. Next month becomes next year. And eventually the opportunity expires, the relationship deteriorates, the gift remains buried, or the healthy boundary is never established. Fear can sound responsible. It can sound humble. It can even sound spiritual. I am just waiting on the Lord. I do not want to get ahead of God. I need one more confirmation. But sometimes you are not waiting on God. You are waiting for obedience to become risk-free. The goal of discernment is not to eliminate every possibility of discomfort. The goal is to become clear enough to take the next faithful step. In Exodus chapter 14, the Israelites reach the Red Sea. The water is in front of them. Pharaoh's army is behind them. They are afraid. Moses tells the people that the Lord will fight for them. Then God says something striking to Moses. Why are you crying out to me? Tell the Israelites to move on. Move on? The sea is still there. The path is not yet visible. The threat is still approaching. But God gives a command to move before the people possess visual evidence of the entire route. That does not mean they moved without God. It means they could not demand that God make faith unnecessary before they obeyed. Some of us are standing at our own Red Sea asking God to remove every risk, explain every detail, manage every reaction, and guarantee every outcome. And God may be saying, I have already told you enough to take the next step. So here are your 3 questions for today. Question 1, do I have enough clarity for the next step? Notice I did not ask whether you have clarity about the entire future. Do you have clarity for one next step? Maybe you do not know whether the career change will work, but you know you need to update the resume. Maybe you do not know whether the relationship can be repaired, but you know the conversation can no longer be avoided. Maybe you do not know whether the boundary will last or protect the relationship, but you know the current pattern of the relationship is unhealthy. Maybe you do not know whether the idea will become a business, but you know it is time to test it. Maybe you don't know exactly how healing will happen, but you know you need support. Do not use uncertainty about step 10 as an excuse to avoid step 1. Let me say that one more time. Do not use uncertainty about step 10 to avoid taking step 1. Question number 2. Is waiting producing wisdom or making my life smaller? Wisdom in waiting has movement inside of it. You are learning, preparing, healing, gathering information, building capacity, seeking counsel. Fear-based delay usually creates contraction. Your world becomes smaller. You avoid conversations. You stop imagining possibilities. You repeatedly revisit the same decision without discovering anything new. You become more dependent on reassurance and not more trusting on God. Ask yourself, what has this additional waiting period produced? Has it given you new wisdom, or has it simply given fear more time to create another scenario? Time does not automatically produce clarity. Sometimes time only deepens the habit of avoidance. Question 3. What would faith movement look like without complete certainty? This question releases you from believing that the next step must be dramatic. Faithful movement may be sending an email, scheduling a counseling appointment, asking the difficult question, applying for the opportunity, creating the first draft, moving money into a savings account, or even visiting the city that you always wanted to live in. The next step does not have to guarantee the outcome. It only has to align with the truth you already know. Do not make major decisions merely because you feel uncomfortable. Some relationships require some patient work. Some seasons require healing before movement. But wisdom and fear do not produce the same fruit. Fear will ask you to wait until no one can misunderstand you, until failure is impossible. But obedience rarely arrives with that kind of certainty. So, strong one, ask yourself, do I have enough clarity for one next step? Is this waiting producing wisdom or making my life smaller? What would faithful movement look like without complete certainty? Your reset question for today is this: what decision have I kept calling discernment because I am afraid of what obedience may cost me? Write down your answer, then take one step. Not because you know everything, not because you can control the outcome, but because God has given you enough light for this particular part of your journey. Remember, you do not have to carry what only God was meant to hold. Release the need to control every outcome. Embrace the clarity that you have, and trust God with the rest of your journey. This is the Reset Room, where strong people learn to let go.